despite them being very solid at the tanks, it seems as though, you know, they like to instead play that DPS setup, and Unfixed going to the Pharah, this is kind of what they've fell into so far. So this could work for them, but still it's going to be very difficult to deal now with a 303, but that's not what we're getting, actually. It's going to be Massey onto the Pharah, and already a head start here for CIS Hope.
And Unfixed spamming away those rockets into that choke. They did manage to get the Resurrect off, but at what cost? Because Watt 7, in the meantime, did go down. Sharik, his counterpart, managing to stay alive on the other end, means that CIS Hope will be able to get a hold of this first objective.
And I really do like Pharah on this map. You know, there's a lot of space to work with. There's a lot of headroom, a lot of headspace for sure, to be able to do a lot of work with it. Massey almost gets taken out. Oh, Kenzie taking advantage of that new mobility that the Hanzo has to stay on this point, or stay on the map at all, as What 7 comes in a big way. They rip down Sharik, and there's going to be Unfixed pulling back as Massey sends him running in the other direction.
Goodbye, and main, that was such a quick turnaround coming out of Birb Boys. Being able to pick up both of the supports in an instant meant that they just snowballed that beautifully into a point cap or take in their favor instead. And now that they do have the Rocket Barrage as well as 2 more ultimates, they will manage to find another kill onto Sharik and will be looking good. The Dragon Strike now being used as well.
Addy's going to work his way over to the side. Kenzie's going to take him on. They both landed arrows, but nobody getting the better end yet. And Unfixed comes in to support his teammate. CIS Hope looking to turn things back around, trying to get security of this point. We already see the headshots coming in from Kenzie, who already locked in that kill for What 7 and now has vision. The Resurrect comes out. They don't actually deny it at all. They aren't able to get that kill, and because that What 7 is back up and healthy on this point, Dragon Strike goes through. Not going to find a kill just yet as the Transcendence blocks off a lot of that damage.
And now we will see Bird Boys just waste so much of their opposition's time. Vinarna is still on the point, who will eventually go down as the rest of his team is going to look to keep this one in their favor as long as possible, up to 60%, but it's going to be Kenzie cleaning it up once more and getting all too close to another Dragon Strike.
CIS Hope really have to do well on these types of maps, I think, because once we get into, you know, into the hybrid, into the escort especially, those are 2 types of maps that I think that they're going to really kind of struggle on if they haven't figured things out, you know, since their loss. So I think they really have to do well here. They're slowly getting back up to that 60%, going to get ready to tie things up, but they have to be able to deal with this setup. Bananra already taken down pretty low.
But it's an interesting contrast when it comes to the support ultimates available. On one side, you have the Transcendence, who should be able to deal with a potential engage, something like a Dragon Strike, eventually out of Adi, but it's going to be Kenzie picking up Watt 7. The Resurrect did go through, but Mitcher, now without that Valkyrie up and available anymore, will have a tougher time making sure that his team does have the staying power. However, main still holds on strong to that Transcendence.
And as these guys duke it out, still going to help CIS Hope. The Transcendence does come out from main, keeping his team alive. Zhao received a lot of that. And Massey trying to turn things back around, accidentally hits himself a little bit, kills himself off, and Unfixed now has so much room to work with. Transcendence now from Baneless. These guys are getting them so quickly as they're sending out a lot of damage over to the Roadhog. There's the barrage. Almost secures 2. What 7 going to go down to Kenzie, and it's just Bananra up here. And as he goes down, that will be 100%. That's the cap now for CIS Hope. They take the first map, but again, they have to do well on this map.
And that was unfortunate there for the side of Bird Boys. However, being down 1-0, they're not out of it just yet. As we will be moving on to the second round of Ilios. We'll be curious to note if they're going to make any swaps, and this is what we expected out of Bird Boys. Back onto that 3-0-free composition. Baneless on that Moira. No favoring of that Zenyatta, where what we've seen a bunch of in the Samsung side of things. And for CIS Hope, so far at the very least, still sticking to that double DPS they need to get those early picks on those supports, especially Unfixed.
And we'll have to see how CIS Hope wants to utilize what they have, their resources, and allocate them towards dealing with this front line that is just so solid. They're so good at winning these ground wars. Try to get into the back line, maybe deal with these supports quickly so you can just kind of whittle the tanks down after. But again, they're going to have to be elusive with their tanks, or those guys are going to go down quickly.
We'll see them already trying and go onto the point. Already Bird Boys having control in terms of those positioning, really making it difficult for Unfix. But in the meantime, Kenzie does manage to find that support, and this is what we're talking about. CIS Hope getting that superior positioning, getting those plays through. It will be Unfix cleaning things up, and CIS Hope now have control of that first point, and look at those ultimates they have building up for themselves.
Oh, and actually some big adjustments happening. Massey is over to the Sombra. They're going over to straight dive. Baneless staying onto the Moira though, so still a lot of healing that could happen here. They still probably want to dive and brawl as a team together, but interesting that they go for the Sombra.
We'll see whether or not it's going to pay off, as already Adi is out of the picture. Kenzie finds him to start things off for this side of this engage, and in the meantime does go down, so does Unfix. However, it's a 2-for-2 overall in the grand scheme of things, and now with the Transcendence available for main, it's going to secure this team fight for CIS Hope.
They do have Sombra and Tracer, but still no pressure being sorted, towards Kenzie. He's still just unleashing mayhem with his bow on the Hanzo, where nobody's really paid him any kind of attention, and because of that, he hasn't really had to do too much. Just been dishing out that damage, just primary firing it the entire time. Now as they come back in, they're gonna have to utilize some of what they've got. And in the meantime, CIS Hope has so many options.
Already Unfix taking out Watt 7, those frontline members of Bird Boys unable to stay alive. Inandra even losing his mech will most likely go back towards the spawn, get a new, fresh one, but it's been just so difficult once they made the swap to really get any advantage. Massey is only at 55% towards that EMP still.
So refreshing to see that CIS Hope just hasn't lost their touch, staving off Birb Boys time and time again so far, as they're looking for what could be their last fight here on this map. If they don't take this here, they will drop to 0-1 in the map score. 97%. They need to get to that point. Watt 7 already taking so much pressure. They have those support ults. They need to use them now.
They finally get a member advantage onto the point. We might just see the cap go in favor of Bird Boys, as nobody's there to contest, and they do it in the end. But there's a lot of resources available for CIS Hope, as you see Transcendence, even Zhao getting a kill off with a self-destruct onto Massey. EMP threat not there anymore. Not quite sure how many targets he hit with it, but Vinandra now takes out, and Kenzie retaliates with 1 kill of his own onto Valen's Pulse Bomb. Goes somewhat wide and coming out of Bird Boys, but overall, CIS Hope slowly but surely looking to turn that point back.
They're able to get a lot of score for themselves, but CIS Hope turning this one back around. It's going to be very tough for them to come in and flip this while it's in overtime here. They need to get back over to the point as they're contesting it now. And they do lose Massey, so an opening for CIS Hope to continue this pressure and just continue this assault, trying to take out Vinandra. Overtime ticking. Vinandra will make it in. They still have the Tracer, but he's low as well. They finally take him out of the mech. Vinandra falls, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to do anything here. Lucio gets shoved out, and CIS Hope with a quick 2-0.
But some surprising picks did go through. We expected that brawl-heavy composition to come out of especially Bird Boys, and Unfix definitely showing us why he's one of the biggest threats on that Pharah. And when it comes to that second round, while I do see the value in having something like a Sombra in the grand scheme of things, considering how Kenzie, Unfix, and the rest of his team really played around that composition, he was just unable to do anything. Only had 1 EMP throughout that whole round.
It's definitely interesting, and I would love to, understand the reasoning of why that was the case, why they, put so much into that, because they played that Sombra. That was something that they swapped to very early on when they made that swap to the dive, and they played the Sombra. And the question is what did it actually, really accomplish at the end of the day? What were they trying to do with it? At first I thought maybe that they were going to try to put some pressure onto a D.Va or something like that, take the defense matrix out of the equation. You have the Tracer there to start putting out some pulse bombs, put some pressure onto D.Va as well, rip that guy out. But they really didn't do that. I mean, what they were really kind of doing is, pushing a lot of their pressure over to the Pharah, and Unfixed really wasn't, feeling it. So,
I mean, nobody really seemed to be able to contest him up in the skies. While, okay, the hack is definitely much more effective at dealing with a Pharah as it used to be in the past, it's still not going to be quite enough. But as we will be moving on to Eichenwald, first off, we're going to go over to a quick commercial break. And welcome back. My name's Bruce, joined of course by Hurix. Now we will be moving on to the second map of the series, CIS Hope, up 1-0.
Yeah, up 1-0 and looking a lot better than what we saw yesterday. Or rather, I think, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it? So looking a lot better than yesterday this time around. Now, though, we're going to be moving into Eichenwald. And this is where things get a little dangerous because Eichenwald is actually the map where Bird Boys actually started to look a lot better. And I have to say, once we get over, past Anubis, if Eichenwald actually goes the way of Bird Boys and we get over to Route 66, that's again where things get dangerous. I mentioned that before on Hybrid and Escort, Bird Boys are going to be a threat because of that 303 comp and the way that those maps work and how effective they can be. We saw them up against Singularity and, Nerfed had a couple of heroic plays to clutch out even maps like Anubis. Otherwise, that would have gone to Bird Boys as well. So this is where things really need to go the way of CIS Hope for us to really feel like there was a major difference made from yesterday.
And the big thing is, as you said, Bird Boys yesterday, they pretty much lost on Ilias as well, brought it back into their favor eventually with those Escort and Hybrid maps. And this is where also they can really play that 303 composition to their maximum potential, really, in a sense. With all these enclosed areas, choke points, they can really play aggressive and hold. I mean, we've seen the attacking side coming out of spawn being held right then and there, time and time again. It's been such an action-packed back and forth when it came down to it yesterday with Singularity and Bird Boys. But now that we do have CIS Hope and we've seen how lethal Kenzie and Unfix can really be on those DPSs, we might still see them run something like that, Hanzo and Pharah.
If they feel confident, they're absolutely going to be running a 2-2-2. They're going to feel like they can get in there and really kind of dish out that damage, find those kills, and be effective in that way. But if they get stopped, I would not be, surprised to see them move over to a 3-0-3 or a 4-2 that we already saw. I would question, though, if they go over to a 4-2. Is that the right choice? Here, though, we're going to start things off. It's a 3-0-3, as we expected. For the side of Birb Boys and CIS Hope to defend. Already a great start, though, as Unfixed finds the first kill.
What is this? It's a triple DPS composition for CIS Hope. Zhao on the Tracer, and so far seems to be working out great for them. Already, no ticks achieved, no positional advantage just yet. However, Vanless does have that Coalescence up and available, but no, gets shut down by Kenzie.
And Shark has just enough damage mitigation that he can deal with them approaching, and as they take that long route all the way around, it's those triple DPS, just farming away into that brawl comp. Now you have to wonder, is this gonna take a while here for some momentum to be built by Birb Boys? They need to get those ultimates up to really be as effective, or they need to make sure that Mitcher stays alive so they can speed boost into position, because that was key in that last fight.
It's also down to the fact that Zhao is off onto the side, didn't get spotted last time around. Seems like he's not spotted this time either. And if he can find those key targets once again, that will make things very difficult for this lineup of Birb Boys to make anything happen. But with the wraparound once again looking to push Sharik out of that high ground advantage, will set themselves up as well. Brawling on top of that point, Coalescence, you'll put it up.
Now Zhao needs to start dishing out some damage, has the pulse bomb, throws it out, there's the stick, finds a double kill! And he takes down What7 in the process! CIS Hope with a triple DPS may have found the answer.
Zhao with a big triple kill. They need to clear this one up though, as Adi finds a kill onto N, and the respawn advantage is favoring the attacking side. However, Unfixed now with the Rocket Barrage, with the rest of his team, will manage to hold out strong. No ticks for this side of Birb Boys.
They have been completely halted, hit a brick wall that was made up of a pulse bomb from Zhao and Unfixed with the barrage. They're going to come right back into it, though. Dragon Strike needs to do a lot here, as they don't really have a lot left as well. Addy and What7 getting dangerously close. Here comes the Dragon Strike. They're all yanked in as well.
Ooh, Zhao barely manages to stay alive. The rally that's confirmed by Massey, but he's all by his lonesome self now. Gets taken out, and already 6v5 advantage. What7 only gets that supercharger, nothing else for their team, as Kenzie continues to do so much damage off of that Hanzo, and even though the Earth Shatter is at the ready, so is the Coalescence back up. It's once again all about CIS Hope that says, okay, you bring out the 303, we raise you our triple DPS comp, and our ultimates are gonna be back up almost every team fight. And now with only 1 minute and 8 seconds left, we'll have to see some swaps out of Birb Boys.
And we heard from these guys too that they didn't want to go out like this. They didn't want to be going out this early. They needed to step it up, and step it up they have. Some swaps being made. Massey right now on a Widow, as now it's going to be pressure on from Zhao, and you got to question that pick perhaps, as Zhao just puts the pressure onto him. I don't know if that was the right swap to make.
But Wat7 already out of the picture, even with that Earthshare available. Another key target. Adi will not be able to pull out that Graviton just yet, and potentially one last ditch effort will be all that Birb Boys have for their offensive push on Eichenwald.
Finally, though, they do have What7 and Addy ready to go with ultimates. So if there is ever a chance for them, it's this one right here. They have to make this work. Self-destruct to back it up. This is the combo we saw time and time again work for them. And with 10 seconds left, they have to be very quick about the way they approach this. Look at the pulse bomb, though. Is he going to get that stick? Zhao has an awesome opportunity, throws it out. It gets eaten up, though.
And Mr. again taken out of the picture. Overtime, kicking through. Can they secure anything with that Earthshot, with that Graviton? So far, looking desperately to do something. It's gonna be N who goes down. Adi with a double kill off of it, but the Transcendence will be there. Self-destruct was used. It's not over just yet. Vanless gets another kill, this time at the on-fix. Zhao looking for those hero plays on top of the point alongside Sharik, who's gonna be forced to drop down to contest. Already one tick on the point. Supercharger's there.
Oh, there's the stick!
The stick goes through, but Adi manages to stay alive, and as a result, Birb Boys are going to continue to push their way through brute force this first point.
They finally take it in overtime. So close, though. CIS Hope with this triple DPS. man, this is the best that we've seen against this style of composition so far, and so consistently too. And now we're going to be seeing that continue as Massey once again is on that Widowmaker. We saw him flash, I believe, to the Doomfist for a moment there, but he's still sticking to this Widowmaker. Going to be looking to try to put some pressure onto Unfixed in the sky, who has really been playing it in so far.
Xiao does get spotted out, trying to be sneaky all the way in the back with that Tracer. We'll see whether or not they can hold him onto this choke short. Did make the swap over to the Winston, and Massey, who made the swap himself to the McCree, gets taken out. And as a result, once again, we'll see CIS Hope looking to search forward, 6v5 advantage, but the danger of that Earth Shatter is still there.
I love the way that they're playing this. I mean, CIS Hope definitely doing something a lot different than what we're used to seeing them pull out, and Dragon Strike going right through forces the rest of Birb Boys right on out of that archway. Still though, pulling it out as Massey on this solo DPS has had a little bit of a time for himself. He finds some kills, it gives them some breathing room.
And Transcendence used a little bit late there by main. We'll get the stall on the payload, but not quite sure, not quite sold on whether or not that was the right choice. However, Zhao is going to look to the life further, but Massey, this is the great thing about swapping back to the, or rather swapping to the McCree from that Widowmaker. You can have an easier time to deal not only with the likes of Unfixed on that Pharah, but also that Tracer for Zhao.
It's definitely very clean for them, and also you can, kind of help to shut down Shark when he comes in, because nothing is there to protect him at all. There's no Diva to take that flashbang hit when he comes in to just kind of create some space for the rest of the team. So I really like that. However, Unfixed will find that kill as Massey just wasn't as protected. Graviton comes out and only finds Unfixed. He's going to turn around, throw the barrage out. Won't find much though.
But in the meantime, Zhao has been all the way back at the payload, denying any more push potential there out of their opponents, and also securing those kills. In the end was definitely the biggest thing, or the most important thing there for CIS Hope. Massey going down early in that fight, so it really made it easier for them to get this team fight win. And now Unfixed with another swap, or rather with a swap onto the Junkrat.
Oh, sent to the sky. Massey goes up. Shark takes him as he comes back down. Quick fight here for CIS Hope, most likely, as we do see the couple of ults actually coming out, and Bananra gets taken out by that Pulse Bomb. Clutch coming out there a little bit. Earth Shatter actually being thrown out as well, as it does tick down over time. They are desperate to turn this one back around, and Zhao, this entire time, he has been the predator, and birds have been his prey.
And as we'll see Massey going down, round one is complete. CIS Hope, man, we praised them for looking better than yesterday, but
this is entirely different.
It out.
I mean, again, they talked yesterday about how disappointed they were in themselves, about how they went from their performance last season in Pit. They went to contenders and they had a great time. We're talking about a team that went 4-1 in groups, and the only team they lost to in playoffs, obviously, super unlucky. You go up against Giganti in the first round, and you still are able to put up numbers against them a little bit. And then they come in here, and it's just entirely different. It seems like they got a little bit complacent. They couldn't, find that groove for themselves, and they come back today after, less than 24 hours, and it's entirely new. I mean, they have definitely gone back to the drawing board. They figured some things out, and this is, like I said before, the best that we've seen work against that 3-0-3, against a team that knows how to do it, and we've seen, know how to execute it from anybody so far in this tournament.
Because that's the big thing, right? Birb Boys, even though they lost 3-2 to Singularity, both of them showed that they really can play that 3-0-3 comp to high level, and now seeing CIS Hope have such a good time against it is definitely a sight to behold. But now that we will be swapping over side, interestingly enough, there is not going to be any more 3-0-3 out of this Birb Boys. They're going to go for their very own Pharah on Massey and Adi on that Tracer. No triple DPS setup, mind you, but still should be looking to have a lot of dive power.
And I'm thinking that we're going to get a little bit of some 2-2-2 action as well from CIS Hope as they swap back over. But look at this. Is this actually a Mei?
No
Are they
way.
actually doing this? This is a solo support from main. Aang is going to swap back over. So they are going to be going... Okay, so they are going to be making sure that they go for something more standard. That classic Widow Pharah setup that we've seen time and time again in this meta, in this tournament. But man, that I was a little on edge a little bit because we already saw the triple DPS, so it made sense that maybe they would have done something.
Especially since they would expect a 3-0-3 composition. If they would position themselves aggressively when it comes to the defense here, it could have potentially sectioned them off and worked out great. But Massey's going to be the one to pick up that first blood. However, Unfixed answered with a kill of his own. So it's all about these Pharahs right now, as we will see battling it out into the skies. There's no one really going down though. Unfixed pressured out of there for a second, but it's gonna be Zhao picking up another kill.
Oh, Zhao has huge charge right now. Massey in the sky has taken some damage. Widowmaker pick doing a lot right now. Kenzie putting some pressure on, forcing him to take some different angles as he goes one-on-one, allows actually Unfixed to come over, takes his sights away. Kenzie finds the easy shot. Zhao does have his Graviton, but they're going to want to hold on to this because they're easily going to take this already. And once they have another opportunity to fight, I would expect they're going to use it there, take that momentum, and I mean, this looks like they're well on their way to another map win.
It's looking definitely stellar for them right now. Sharik will make the swap over to the Winston. Instant adaptation, or rather, adaptation for that second point. Yep, second phase here for CIS Hope. And on the other end, we might see that swap back to that free 1-2 composition this time around. Adi still sticking to that Widowmaker, so we'll have something to deal with when it comes to Unfixed on that Pharah, but now already looking to speed boost in. Mitcher is under a lot of pressure. Graviton was used, but not too much success.
Not a lot of kills out of that for sure, and Transcendence didn't even come out either. Still though, they're finding the kills. Banandra has been eliminated, and the one kill that we saw come out from Bird Bois just got rezzed back up. And look at the way that Unfixed has worked his way back over here as they're looking to try to sneak their way back into this one. The Widow has been spotted, and there's the Transcendence finally coming out.
And we'll see them at the very least look to brawl, look to stall things around here for this side of CIS Hope. Just delaying things for such a long time, already down to 4 minutes. And even though, yes, they're winning out in all of these team fights, they've been going on for such a long time that we will see Massey already at 92% towards the rally. Mitcher slowly approaching his very own sound barrier, so they're still going to have quite a bit of room and time and space, of course, to work with here.
And Unfixed still not dealt with just yet. Look at this Ana swap too from Baneless, as they're going to try to put some extra pressure on him. Widow taking the other route, but still they are just confined to this, close quarters where CIS Hope has just been toying with them.
We'll see Sharik pop that Primal Rage. Actually almost moves SWAT 7 out of it. Manages to go back in, but Baneless is going to be able to pick up N, and that's a big one. But look at that payload. So close to that objective, and with 3 minutes remaining, it's going to be extremely difficult for Bird Bois to hold on, especially with Zhao. Pick up a kill. He takes out WAT 7 in return, so looking to equalize the numbers, but in the end, it's going to be Bird Bois winning this one out, but they have to hold out strong for 3 more minutes.
Sometimes you pop off, sometimes you don't. Kenzie just wasn't able to hit those finalizing shots to solidify those kills that time on the Widow, but still put the pressure out. But look at how close this payload is. Look how much time they still have. Baneless pretty close to having that nano boost himself. They're going to go up to the high ground. Shark going to be taking some pressure, but that's going to allow for a lot of healing to go over to N as he gets very close actually to getting his Valkyrie, but Shark still falls.
And it's a 1-for-1 trade, but the big problem right now is that you don't have that extra frontline member, and being able to get the resurrection is going to be big. Earth Shatter goes wide, doesn't quite find the target. Transcendence now used from the side of CIS Hope, looking to win this team fight and potentially take this back, but Adi is going to find the shots instead onto Kenzie, and that could very well be enough for Bird Bois to push the opposition away.
I actually really like what Baneless has been able to accomplish with this Ana pick. You wouldn't think that with the way that they started, having to work their way through that, that hallway, that he was going to be able to get much done, but he really has done a lot on this Ana pick and has been able to get a lot of really clutch biotic grenades to kind of allow them to be aggressive. WAT 7 really pushing off of the back of some of those purples.
This has been an absolute blast to watch. Another adaptation coming out of CIS Hope, defaulting back towards that quad tank. So we'll see whether or not that's going to pay off, as so far looking to charge in. WAT 7 is going to bring Sharik down really low, but Zhao is going to get that kill onto Adi. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Rally was popped, and that could very well secure another teamfight win for Bird Bois.
And I like what Kenzie can do with this tank pick too, going for the Roadhog. He was able to pull What7 out. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't really get much done as What7 once again just gets yoinked out a little bit. Still, they need to be able to have the damage to back it up when he does get those hooks. And on top of that, you also have to have the ability to stave off the support that comes in. Vanless, again, just getting so much healing. And look how this aggression comes out once more from Birb Boys. They finally, again, finding that groove with this tank style.
This is extremely scary here for CIS Hope, and I like this out of Birb Boys, knowing the fact that they have 46 seconds left. They have the ultimate advantage. They just need to win a team fight in that longer distance, closer to that payload, and CIS Hope coming back from spawn will look to win this one out in this team fight now, charging right in. We'll have those Gravitons soon enough to go, but it's going to be the Earth Shatter, laying 3 of them flat out. He's going to secure a kill onto Charade to a 6v5 advantage going into this one for Birb Boys.
Oh, What7 just went through, and he's going to get hooked. They have the whole hog. They're going for him. They're going to find that kill, and now they can turn around and look at the rest of this team. Birb Boys have no protection from that Reinhardt any longer.
And Unfix is going to come down to whether or not he can land a big Graviton. That he's so close, but it's going to be the Earth Shatter. Also used Self-Destruct into it. The barrier is not going to be there, but as they say that, Massey has his own barrier instead. Counters Self-Destruct. Not going to secure any kills. It's still an all-out brawl. The Bionade only connecting onto one sound barrier. It's going to keep CIS Hope safe and with it. Sharik will get the kill onto Massey. Still looking to win this one out. CIS Hope might have just done it.
Oh, I don't know. Main has the coalescence. They're going to get the heals. They're going to get the damage off as well. This is one of the longest winded fights we've ever seen. I mean, this has taken so long for CIS Hope to finally turn that back around. We already said Birb Boys with the ult advantage to start with, but it lasted long enough for CIS Hope to turn it back around. They take it. Now they're 2-0 in the map score.
But that was looking so dangerous for them. Still, Birb Boys really well executed by them to make sure they have a shot at defending when it came down to it. And Main here at the end with the securing, or rather finalizing those last few kills and making sure the rest of his team stays alive. But man, what an insane back and forth. And this is what I absolutely love about these Overwatch matches, when you see all these quick adaptations and these interesting picks and strategies.
And that's something we didn't get to see a lot of yesterday. You know, we saw a lot of 3-0-3 happening. It wasn't very much adapting. It was a lot of just clashing into each other over and over and over again. And now this is a different flavor for us to see today, especially with CIS Hope bringing out a triple DPS defense. And not only that, but also showing off that it can work.
And on the other side, of course, as well, even Birb Boys, Vanless on that Ana had a lot of impact when it came down to it on that second phase. So that's what I absolutely love to see. We'll also find out if CIS Hope can close this one out soon enough. And it's match point right now for CIS Hope. If they take Anubis, they will be advancing through the losers bracket. But Birb Boys also stepping it up.
I mean, this is just unfortunate for Bird Boys because, they had such a good showing yesterday against Singularity. Yes, they lost, but they really, took it to them, and it really took a lot for Singularity to be able to win out some of those maps. You look at Anubis, especially, you see some heroic plays being displayed by Nerfed. I mean, throughout the series, there was a lot of focus on Nerfed for sure, really stepping up and having a high impact for them to be able to win that one out. Otherwise, it was very close. What 7 was fantastic. I would say their 3-0-3 was well executed as well, more often than not. So, I mean, overall, to have to come into CIS Hope thinking, maybe there's a shot here after what they saw, yesterday and CIS Hope's loss and their inability to deal with certain things. And to have CIS quickly turn around, quickly adapt in less than 24 hours to be able to take this on like this in such a way, that's insane.
And that's the thing, right? Even with those mishaps yesterday, or rather when they played, did see at the very least really good individual play for CIS Hope. We never really questioned that aspect. So now looking as to what they can bring to the table today has really impressed me. And moving on to Anubis, I don't even know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, on Anubis, I'm definitely looking forward to, with CIS Hope, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of different flavors we're going to get, because we already saw that they're willing, to experiment a little bit. They're willing to throw some different stuff out. Maybe we'll see some Sombra action. Maybe we'll see, some Mei action. Maybe we'll see something different at this point where we, don't really know what to expect from them anymore.
And on the other side, of course, this is where Bird Boys need to turn things around. They need to start the reverse sweep rolling, because we are now onto Anubis. CIS Hope on the defense to start it all out.
So starting things off, nothing too big, but still a double sniper out from CIS Hope. And once again, that 3-0-3 looking to get into the point quickly as they get pulled around. And you can already see how the barrier got destroyed. What's 7 going to have to wait that one out a little bit before they go in for the next bout.
This has been an interesting positioning coming out of CIS Hope. We've seen other teams play around that Orisa and her barrier closer to that bridge, so difference in playstyle right now, at the very least for now.
And this is something where we saw this with the quad tank as well, where, once they get out here, they can't deal with this high ground threat, so they're going to have to go under and wait for people to come down. But Zhao's going to be able to deal with this very easily because of the fact that he's on the D.Va. Now they just go ahead and toy with them. They have the ability to just start sniping through, taking their shots, and nothing can be done. Massey gets taken out. They can't even come out of this room at all.
And any ticks the ticks are denied on that objective as well. Unfix claims another kill, and it's all about CIS Hope, who just look at that damage they're able to pull out. Unfix already with that Dragon Strike. Kenzie's gonna have that Infraside at the ready to spot out the opposition, and as they're still set up on that high ground, it's gonna continuously be all too difficult for Bird Boys, and this will signal them to swap over to that dive.
Yeah, and this makes a lot of sense because there was no way that they were going to be able to get that. Maybe they get a bunch of ultimates and hold them up top, but as long as Zhao is able to stay alive on the point and keep contesting it, they can stay up there and just keep taking pot shots. You're going to have that double sniper on multiple angles. It's going to be a big problem for them. So I definitely like the fact that they're going to the dive. This gives them a great opportunity to deal with not only double sniper, but also that kind of insulated defense up on that high ground.
And now with Infraside being pulled out here for Kenzie, we'll see CIS Hope spot the opposition out, keep them occupied for now, not really able to dive right in. It's gonna be Wat7, very aggressive plays coming out of him, instantly punished by Zhao. Instead, we'll have a 6v5 on our hands in favor of CIS Hope, but now with the Resurrect going through out of Mitcher, we'll equalize the numbers for now.
Zhao up top right now. They still haven't made any headway on the point. They're just diving in. What7 does find a kill, but Mitcher falls. That's no res left now, as N has one of his own, if I'm not mistaken. And Kenzie as well as Unfixed still up on this high ground. So it's going to be so difficult for them to get pulled off of this. I don't know if any kind of spacing can be made for them to be able to get back onto this point and start pushing it towards these ticks.
Even when they manage to drop Sharik down low, he's always somehow still alive. Massey gets the kill onto main, coming back from spawn. At the very least, these small advantages could be building up now finally for Bird Boys, but they have 1 minute and 4 seconds left. They have to still go through all the free ticks.
Well, when they're still committing a Genji to trying to deal with main, He has the Transcendence, so he can get out if he absolutely has to. But at that, they still are losing out on someone who can go and contest this high ground with the dive. So they need him to help coordinate. So they have to, unfortunately, let main through. And they're still down Bayless, who's coming back from respawn. Actually, he does get res back up. So now it's time to engage.
We'll see them go ahead, pull out that blade. It's gonna be a kill onto Unfix. Kenzie going down as well. No DPS available for CIS Hope. This is what Birb Boys needed, but Vinarra does lose his suit for it. However, it's gonna be finally enough for this lineup of Birb Boys as Adi still has that post bomb, didn't even commit for it, doesn't even need it. But CIS Hope still excellent defense coming out of him.
Well, what they did commit was Vanless's Transcendence about midway through that fight, so they're not going to have that to kind of continue that momentum, push, can allow that snowball to continue rolling down towards point B, and that, I think, might hurt them here, where Kenzie and, Kenzie is going to be likely up top. They're not going to have a direct answer other than Massey, as they make some swaps, actually, so it doesn't really matter that much, and they're going to swap up, interestingly enough, to a quad tank. This is a CIS Hope move to bring in both the Winston and the Reinhardt, and a quick swap from Kenzie is going to be necessary. They also go over to the Bastion as well.
Instant adaptations back and forth. Still on Anubis, keeping it fresh for us as we will see them dive right in. No kills achieved for the side of Birb Boys, and now potentially under a lot of pressure as we will see Unfix look to position himself. It's going to be self-destruct coming out of Zhao as he secures the kill onto Mitcher, and as Watt7 fell down too, it's all about CS Hope once again as Unfix barreling down on these opponents.
Yeah, I love that quick swap, and it's such a funny way to try to go in for that second point too, because like I said, this is a typical CIS Hope move. They go for that quad tank and they run it with the Winston. So that would be the main factor there. So to now swap back up, they're going to go over for a 3-0-3 instead, but a different flavor of it. They're still going to be going for the Roadhog. They're going to opt away from the Diva. That's a bold move.
And another big thing is, if you run CIS Hope's comp that they've been known for such a long time, surely they're gonna know how to deal with it, right? You'd think, but we'll see how this one works out with that Roadhog in position here for Adi. Kenzie does have that Dragon Strike at the ready, so he's just gonna look for a position, look for those targets. Adi's gonna be the first one to fall, but at a 1-for-1 trade, so Birb Boys still looking to get more. Watt7 gets a double for himself, but Zhao still answering. One tick almost going through here for Birb Boys, and goes down as well.
Oh, the barrier is down for Watt7 for now. He launches the self-destruct. That's going to be going out, and enough time for the barrier to come back up, so nobody going to go down, but Watt7 is very, very low. Earthshatter ready for Shark. He's going to throw it down, not going to find anything. It's going to get blocked off. 2 ticks now on the board for Birb Boys as Kenzie comes back into the fight. They're running straight at him. Transcendence comes out as Main also runs right at him. There's the Dragon Strike, round 2.
They need to make this one work, as it's gonna be Watt7, the one to go down. However, Vinarra and Adi still gaining kills. Zhao will be desuited for his troubles, and now with the Reaper coming in for Shrink, it seems like they're just opting in to stall this one out for as long as possible. 89% eke, that 98. And May does take down Mitcher, but it seems like it's a matter of time. Birb Boys opening up the point and getting it in the end.
1:19 on the clock, battling for that, forcing out the 3-0-3 composition. We saw some adaptations already being made. CIS Hope being able to stave away that 4-2 that we saw, the 4-0-2 that we saw, and now it'll be CIS Hope's turn to attack. Now the question becomes, what are we going to get out of them? And I would expect likely a 2-2-2. What do you think?
I would like to see that, just because Kenzie, he's been absolutely insane on that Widowmaker, and we've seen how lethal that pick can really prove to be on that first point, and potentially we might even see a Widowmaker on the side of Birb Boys. I definitely won't see a Mei coming out of Kenzie. If there's somebody who will play that Mei, it's going to be Unfixed.
Exactly.
It should be on defense favored, of course, if that were to happen. But as said, overall would agree to the fact that yes, it should be a 2-2-2. Maybe a dive or that double sniper dive comp that could just play around, reacting to what their opposition are bringing to the table. And it seems like they're going to have a Junkrat on Massey.
I'm actually curious how they want to implement this too, because if you look, they are currently on a Winston and Diva. I mean, how are they going to keep that Junkrat safe? Where are they going to put him? How are they going to make sure that if a dive comes out, I mean, are they just going to play reactively, where you're going to basically kind of play it off as if he was like a Hanzo, you know, just make sure that he has a mind so you can pull out of that and disengage as quickly as possible, because coming their way is what is going to be a dive as well. Sharik, Main, I mean, Kenzie's going to be on the Widowmaker, so Main can kind of connect with him, make sure that the Discords come out, and Massey is going to be in trouble if he's out in the open.
And I don't think we're going to have the triple DPS, and we'll most likely swap after that Sonic arrow soon enough to something like a Mercy, considering the fact that should be paired up with Unfix up in the skies.
Double
Never
sniper.
mind, it is the double snipers. So I like this, maybe committing to it once they saw what they're up against. Seeing Adi on that Widowmaker would definitely make things difficult for Unfix on that fair, as Kenzie is going to be able to pick up that first blood and already gets a second.
You just don't have enough reses, my friend. You just don't. And now Addy's forced back. He's not going to be able to peek around that corner. He's just being waited. Oh, he comes around the corner and gets it anyways. Kenzie down. Vinanra to follow as he loses his mech there. Bayless going to be taken down as this double sniper is just too much. 317 as CIS Hope on the point with all the control in the world.
And they will have so much time to work with, over 6 minutes basically, versus what Birb Bois were able to bring to the table. And now I would imagine they would stick to this composition and only make adjustments once that first push potentially fails. But on the other side, Massey wasn't too much of a threat. Adi now will even make the swap himself to the Tracer, so they're not going to have too many tools to stave off this offensive push.
They're keeping Massey on this pick. He goes ahead and disengages back into Dark. And now we were also going to be seeing Kenzie up top, just taking pot shots. Nobody to deal with him right now because Vinandra just can't pull away from his tank. And still, Kenzie just looking for that first kill so they can full engage behind it.
Unfixed at the ready with the Dragon Strike. It's going to pull it right out. Kenzie gets the D-suit. We'll be looking for more. No other kills secured as of right now here for CIS Hope. But as I say that, Zhao finally gets another one onto Vinanra. And now as the numbers advantage will be building up on the offensive side. They want to close this one out. And if they are to get a good time here, they're going to be poised to win the series at that. Main and Sharik gets more. Vinanra back in from spawn. But at this point, seems like it's a matter of time. 2 ticks rapidly approaching that third tick, as Veinless comes right back in on that Brigade.
Oh, Riptide, this could be a turning point if they're able to get something done, but Unfixed finds it beforehand, and CIS Hope clean things up. 5:43 is their time. That's a fantastic one to work with if you're CIS Hope, and now Birb Bois have the daunting task after already being down 2-0 of trying to turn this map around with about 4.5 minutes behind.
Talk about a Herculean task. That is exactly what Birb Bois are going to have to do if they are to swing this one back into their favor, because at this point, while they had a bunch of good moments, they had their strong suits. CIS Hope just one step ahead, seemingly.
Now we're going to be seeing CIS Hope on the defense, and knowing that they have only 119 that they have to kind of whittle down. Unfixed just using the Mei to push Sharik back up to that high ground. I wouldn't be surprised to see something kind of similar to what we got out of them the first time around. Kenzie, at the moment, though, is going to be on a Tracer. And I wonder if that's because they don't want to fall into that same trap of having the dive just take advantage of their double sniper. So he's just going to be on that Tracer for now. He's going to be up top. He's going to probably take a couple of flanking rounds and make sure that, you know, anybody left behind, whether it be Veinless on a Zenyatta or whatever, is going to be ripped apart, so they have an advantage at all times.
And he could also go for those 1v1 duels versus Adi if need be, since we've seen Adi go for that side approach when it comes to the attack on this first point. As the round will start. 1 minute 10 seconds now on the clock here for Birb Bois. They need to make the most out of that time bank. So far, Unfixed damage boosted will be a huge threat for this lineup. We'll have Massey off onto the side. Look to push them at the very least away from said high ground.
Oh, they're going to go ahead and keep them contained for now. And this is just more time being taken away. Utilizing that high ground. Finally, here comes the engage as What7 goes up. Kenzie will go down.
And that's a big pick for Birb Boys. They need to keep this momentum up, but Unfixed answers with a kill of his own. However, Massey on that game is gonna get a huge pick onto end. Without that resurrect being available for the defensive side, they're gonna lose a number advantage, as we will see Zhao lose his suit as well. And this is where things are starting to finally look good for Birb Boys. Not only should they take this point, they should be going into the next fight with quite a few ultimates too.
That blade could be huge in this next fight, as Massey's on fire right now. Sitting at 93, 94%, 30 seconds now for Birb Boys to move their way. Oh, actually unfixed. He could have actually thrown that Dragon Strike out and then made the swap after, but instead just made the quick swap immediately to try to shut down that blade, maybe put some pressure onto Addy on this Tracer as well. I do like the swap, but I probably would have just YOLO thrown the Dragon Strike out first.
But on the other side, interestingly enough, even Vainless made the swap over to the Brigitte. And now that we will see this fight start out, Mitcher should wait it out and make sure he keeps the rest of his team alive with the use of that Valkyrie, but it's going to be unfixed, claiming the first kill. The Blade will get one in return. Massey looking for more, doesn't find anything just yet, as we will see that Winston still stay alive, but the question is for how long. Unfixed being brought back up. The Transcendence will keep the rest of CIS Hope alive onto the point. No ticks as of yet here for Birb Boys, and they're slowly running out of steam, but as I say that, Massey still on fire.
Zhao hasn't been dealt with yet, though. They need to take this Tracer out. Venanra is about at half HP. A lot of pressure coming out. Defense Matrix going to keep him alive for now. Self-destruct to reset. They won't find the kill, so he'll be able to re-suit up as they keep the fight alive. What7 back on the point, and he's going to get a reset himself. Sharik has his Primal Rage to counter if he needs it. And as overtime is ticking right now, they need everything they can get to push them off of this point.
That positioning was so beautiful coming out of CIS, making sure they have somebody contest that objective and make sure that no ticks go through. But now coming back with reinforcements from Respawn, Birb Boys are not going to go out just yet. Mitcher gets another kill and returns with one of his own, but the numbers are finally building up in favor of the attacking side. And as we will see them still stick through with the defense on overtime, that one tick does go through, but those ultimates are online, such as the Blade, but it's going to be Adi with a triple kill. Blade not even needed. It's all about that Tracer, but in the end, rally up as well. Zhao back up, but it's a matter of time.
Unfixed made that swap to Brigitte, but so far hasn't really paid much attention to Addy or Massey, who would have been the ideal threats to try to deal with. And I think that's exactly what they wanted out of that swap, but we just didn't see it. I mean, Addy and Massey both on Genji and Tracer didn't really take much pressure, if any at all, from that Brigitte pick. I mean, Unfixed was mostly just throwing his stuns and throwing his damage into tanks for the most part. So I think perhaps if Unfixed might have, changed the way that he utilized that character and the loadout that it has, maybe they would have been able to put a stop there, but this time, not the case. They still have a lot of time to work with, though. 5:43, but still have to cap both points now.
And now that they've seen what CIS Hope are going to bring to the table, most likely for that first point, they should be overall better prepared. And look at that. Vainless once again on that Ana instead. So again, different adaptations, which should potentially see CIS Hope swap out themselves, because so far it's looking like they're going to go for that 2-2-2 composition with the double snipers, but having that Ana to deal with too, no Widowmaker being set up, of course, for the defense. We'll like to see what CIS does.
Looking like it might be a dive coming out. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kenzie going over to the Widowmaker, and if he does, there won't be much to deal with him, so possibly an advantage for them if they get him into position. But I'm curious to see how they use Vainless on this Ana, because from what we've seen so far, Vainless can still make this work. Look at the positioning, though. Once again, that Diva off to the side, and everybody else is just kind of very aggressively positioned far forward here behind What7 in this corner.
This has seemed to be the go-to plan for Birb Boys, having Inanra be that scouting role, but now as they look to engage, look to fight it out as that composition's best at. What7's going to be dropping extremely low. We'll see now Kenzie on that Hanzo and Unfixed on that Pharah instead, looking to push them away. Nobody going out just yet. Sharik finally does fall, and Kenzie now getting a return kill. It's still a back and forth. 2 lost for 2.
Oh, the patience paying off for CIS Hope. As they slowed down the fight, they were able to get an advantage, allow for Unfix to do the work that he needs to. Moira typically in charge of keeping everybody up, but Vaneless just cannot do that as much with the Moira or with the Ana pick instead. He still has the nano boost, so they can go ahead and re-engage this one and go for a retake if they have enough time. What's 7 getting battered by rockets though.
And Adi lying off on the side does manage to stall this one out at the very least till the rest of his team regroups onto the point, but it's gonna be CIS Hope getting the kills again, 2 favoring their end. They have so many ultimates to work with, and if they get this point, they're gonna have such an easy time when it comes to that second one as well.
Pushing forward, 6 ultimates stacked up for CIS Hope. This will be a great opportunity to push in. Not a lot of options defensively, though, as they're pushing in. What's 7 under duress? There's the barrage! Kinsey still has that Dragon Strike. He's going to let it loose. They can't even stay in this one. He's getting a little bit of damage off, but not a whole lot as it slowly takes down Massey. They have them backed up, holding on for dear life as Shark is just battering them away in that back hallway.
And it doesn't even matter if it was Unfixed who was able to deal all the damage, but Main unlucky there, buddy, as the charge did connect up at the Transcendence. And now with this member advantage slowly but surely going back in favor of the defensive side, even having the Mei out. Sound Barrier was used though in order to make sure that it does happen. But 1 tick was achieved by CIS Hope. Kenzie able to build up another Dragon Strike, but overall, well done by Birb Boys to make sure they get back into this one and hold out, but only 1 tick on the point.
They realistically need to hold out for another 2.5 minutes. I mean, if you give CIS Hope an opportunity to get a first push straight in, I mean, they might have an opportunity to get that. In best case scenario, you go for a draw and then you have to play it out on a control map that you just haven't had great success on. So have to hold out here for another 2 minutes, 10 seconds at least to be able to have a shot.
And now Vaneless did use that nano boost, but not too much success on there, and self-destruct will be launched from above. The rocket barrage as well out of Unfixed will claim that 1 kill onto Massey, looking for more 6v5 advantage for this side of CIS Hope as they look to push their way through for that map take, or map completion rather. Kenzie getting another one this time around. Massey again going back to that main for that stall, but it's all about CIS Hope as they will find Mitcher eventually. Already getting close towards that second tick. The stalls this time around not going to be as successful for the defensive side, but as I say that, the Dragon Strike might claim some. Kenzie goes down. Zhao loses his suit for his troubles.
Oh, and they don't even get the second tick. They can't even claim it just yet. What's 7? Still taking pressure. Unfixed is dishing it out, but with how many they've lost now, I don't know if they can continue this, and they will lose their progress. I mean, basically, at the end of the day, getting nothing done there as they make some swaps. Shark and Zhao both going over to that Reinhardt and Zarya respectively, leaving Unfixed and Kenzie, but wow, what a way to get back into this fight. And look at these swaps happening now. Unfixed onto the Junkrat, Vaneless swaps, Massey swaps, and they're now running a 2-1-3 with Vaneless on the Ana once more.
We'll see whether or not they can save off this offensive push once more as they will look to clash. For now, the Earthshatter actually gonna go through, and that will secure another team fight for Birb Boys. 1 minute, 32 seconds left, and this is suddenly looking very dire for CIS Hope. Look at this aggressive positioning coming out of defense. And
on top of that, with that kill, with the timing as it is right now, there's no way that they don't have at least a shot to make a push themselves. Dragon Strike to come out, gonna close off the entryway as Shark is just going ham with that Transcendence to back him up. He will fall, but he's close to his respawn as they're solidifying kills, but this will be so far away that by the time CIS Hope actually makes it in to the point, I mean, they're gonna be having Bird Boys in their face again already.
At the very least, though, they do have a lot of ultimates coming up. They already have the Valkyrie. They already have the Dragon Strike. We saw how much value someone like Adi was able to really get when it came down to it. But now Sharif gets left up. The charge was there, but the shield saves them and secures a double kill for him. hero, or rather big team plays, but the Graviton is available. That's what I was talking about before. Zhao now having that charged up. Even the Riptire wasn't fully needed, but they do get it in the end with 1 minute and 25 seconds left.
This is a lot closer now, though. I mean, Bird Boys were successfully able to cap it themselves, which was, I mean, a tough feat in it of itself. But then to take away the, the insurmountable amount of time that CIS Hope had to work with, and now even things up a little bit, now have the opportunity to potentially take this map here, or at least tie it and move it into a control map again. Like I said, that's not the ideal situation if you're Bird Boys, because they just haven't found much success. However, the tiebreaker map might offer up a different dynamic that, something that we haven't seen from Bird Boys yet.
And if it does come down to it, I do believe the tiebreaker map will be Oasis, so it will be interesting to see how that one would play out, considering the lineups. I would expect to see a lot of fair potentially, but not to get too ahead of myself now. But we'll see once again, same composition out of CIS Hope, but okay, never mind. I was scared for a second that Unfix was actually going to stick to the Mei. It took them quite a while, but there it is. We will see Unfix back onto the Hanzo. It is going to be, once again, the double sniper comp for CIS Hope.
And the way that Bird Boys is looking like they're going to be attacking here, obviously Vaneless not going to be sticking to this Widowmaker at the end of the day. They're going to go for that full dive. This might be possible for Bird Boys, and if they get this first cap, they'll be in a very good spot to be able to hold out for only 1 minute 25. That's doable.
We'll see pretty much the same approach as of right now. Ari going off onto the side will most likely look to see Massey have just as big as an impact as he had the last time around, pushing the opposition off of that high ground, really making things very difficult for CIS Hope, but playing it patiently. We will actually see Watt7 be the first one to dive in.
It did leave their Zenyatta behind, but Vaneless should be able to make his way through as N is already down. They could do this here, 2 down already. Zhao trying to find a kill, but they get nothing. And it's going to be Bird Boys across the board, taking it to CIS Hope. They should be able to get this first cap.
And again, just the same strategy paying off here for Bird Boys once more, and this will prompt a few additional changes coming out of CIS Hope. Unfixed back onto T. Brigitte, and now we'll see whether or not he's gonna have more success. And what's this? Okay, they're actually gonna swap as well here, Bird Boys that is, and this is going to be interesting.
This is where Unfixed can go back to that playstyle that we saw him on just prior when he did pop out that Brigitte real quick. He doesn't have to deal with, the Tracer and Genji this time around, but as they're going forward, it's really gonna come down to who has the better hand here with these compositions. Watt7 falls, that's a big opening, and they should clean this up. CIS Hope with a lot to work with. Bananra gonna get ripped out of his suit as well. As you see the Mercy come in, gets the res, but everybody else around her falls. Massey to follow suit, and it's just Vaneless on this Lucio now as he will die off too. Zarya gonna be killed off. Addy not even able to get to the point. They still get that first cap though, and that's incredibly important, because that could mean we're either going to be going, possibly draw. Bird Boys can even win it here. 1 minute 25 is what CIS Hope has to work with.
And it was definitely a gamble when it came down to it for Bird Boys to make those swaps towards that second point when you already have a lot of ultimates being built up. Was expecting them to commit to it. It was not the case and didn't pay off this time around. However, as you said, this is not over just yet. Still getting that first objective is going to be crucial, because 1 minute and 25 seconds is not that much time to work with.
It really isn't. And on top of that, not only is CIS Hope thinking about that first point, trying to cap it out, at least getting to the draw where they think they might have a good chance at winning it out on Oasis, where they can let Unfixed and Kinsey loose once more on a control map. But also, if they get that first point, something that might carry some weight into point B so that they can have some momentum, they can push forward and have a chance at taking it there as well. I mean, that's what I'd be thinking about here, and it looks like what we're going to be getting out of them is that double sniper once more, and it's going to be against the 3-0-3 brawl comp that got Bird Boys to this point to start with.
See whether or not that will pay off, as so far seems like already Unfix is going to be on that Pharah, Kenzie on that Hanzo, and we've seen how effective they can really be against the likes of Birb Boys when it came down to it with that free composition. And at this point, getting spotted out already, we will see Unfix trying to dish out quite a bit of damage, but different positioning coming out of Birb Boys.
Oh, Unfixed able to dish out a good bit of damage. Finally, they're going to turn around, slow things down a little bit, and everybody else is going to get back into position here. A lot of damage still. I mean, look at Unfixed just raining death from above with these rockets as the quick rotation comes out, claiming Sharik in the process.
Oh, unlucky there with that jump. He didn't manage to get out of the nick of time, and now with Unfix going down as well, it's down to 40 seconds. Kenzie will desperately try to run away, as we might actually see Birb Boys win this map out.
30 seconds remain, not a lot to work with if you're the offense, and CIS Hope now are going to have to utilize these DPS ults to try to get some headway in this fight, but they've been dealt with time and time again. Vanless without the Coalescence. This time, they have a chance to move in here. This is the time. Use that Dragon Strike. Get some damage off. Claim it here if you can. Barrage comes out to follow. Unfix kills himself in the process, but does take out, or at least help to claim those main tanks, those two forefront tanks, as Bananra falls as well. Zhao is in the thick of things, and they should be able to take Addy out as well. We see the Graviton come down. They need the kills inside of it, but the Transcendence is there. They have the healing. CIS Hope look to at least even the odds.
We'll see Vanless eventually go down. Only Mitcher left onto the point, but this will mean that CIS Hope will get that 5th point on the board, and they will have one more shot at closing the series out. Remember, this is losers bracket and match point for CIS Hope. If they win Anubis, they are your victors, and they will advance throughout the losers bracket. It's very important for the opposition to not allow that 33%.
And as they go forward, they're going to have to deal with all three of those support ults. You're going to have to deal with the Sound Barrier, the Rally, the Coalescence. I say go ahead and make sure that you're just kind of taking your time, create some spacing, allow Kenzie the ample opportunity to find these kills, push out some damage. Dragon Strike ready again. He's going to throw it right out. That's good positioning for it.
But the Sound Barrier was used by the defensive side, and now with the Coalescence as well, they're going to look for those targets. And the Earth Shatter.
Oh, we got main
tags flat, but also main at that, and with those just rockets raining down from Bananra, will secure that man advantage potentially, but Unfix still looking to answer. Adi will go down. Kenzie picks up another big kill, but N goes down as well. Still a back and forth, and anyone's gets, but with the charge, Zhao will get desuited as well.
Oh, Kenzie almost with another Dragon Strike. He throws it out. Not going to find much damage with it. Self-destruct comes out as well. What's 7 taken down? No, but nobody's on the point. And that will be that. A draw here on Anubis. And now we'll be having to move to Oasis to see who takes that map.
Oh, man, what an interesting back and forth. Zhao has definitely been a big key player for CIS Hope. Still, very well done by Birb Boys to turn this one around and make this really, really close and competitive.
Yeah, but as we move to Oasis, I said it before, I mean, Birb Boys really wanted to make that stop on that first point, because as we go to Oasis, it feels as though CIS Hope is going to have an advantage there. We already know Unfixed on the Pharah is really, really solid, and we already know that once it comes to control, Birb Boys aren't as consistent on that map state.
And before we do that, we will have an ad break. Don't go anywhere. Our first Oasis of the Season 3 Pit Championship. My name is Brunch, joined of course by Hurix, and after that exciting matchup on Anubis between Birb Boys and CIS Hope, considering how unmatched Unfixed looked on that Pharah and that we are on Oasis, this is going to be still looking scary for Birb Boys.
Yeah, and you have to wonder what we're going to get out of Birb Boys, because this is a totally different map type from the controls that we've seen so far. And what we've seen from the controls so far hasn't been that great from Birb Boys. You know, they've kind of struggled. They didn't really get much done versus Singularity. Already CIS Hope has really looked good on it, I would have to say, against this team even as well. So to go into, you know, maybe something where it becomes a dive, that becomes, I think, a little bit scary, especially if they allow Unfixed to kind of pop off on the Pharah and Kenzie, even with the Hanzo that I imagine they're going to want to play. However, if you come into University, might be a possibility for you to run that 3-0-3, might have an opportunity to take a map there, and then as long as you can pull one win out, that might be a clutch opportunity for you to take this here and move forward into the next map.
And I definitely like your point on that, because even last season of Pit, we've seen quite a bit of COD tank even on University, or even the Junkrat come out. But we'll see what will be the case as we will start things off. This is match point once again for CIS Hope. Birb Boys still holding out strong though.
And main in the back, we do have Kenzie and Unfixed actually on that Hanzo and Pharah combination, but Massey in the skies trying to deal with him as a little bit as well, and Addy on the Tracer could find his way into the backline, putting pressure onto main, but he instead hasn't opted for that just yet. Kenzie is certainly defending his support right now.
But Addy already forces that recall. Could be brought under a lot of pressure. Overall, though, in terms of that positioning, it seems like we'll see a one-for-one trade. But as I say that, Unfixed gets the D-suit and gets the kill. Onto Massey Sharik being brought back up. This is CIS Hope fights to lose, as we will see the point flip in their favor. Unfixed.
I mean, this is, it's exactly what we were talking about. Unfixed on the Pharah in this particular matchup is very scary to deal with. It's something that Birb Boys has to be worried about going into this when they go into Oasis specifically. So hitting that tiebreaker, I mean, it's a sigh of relief that you still are in it, but it's still a daunting task that you know is ahead of you to try to deal with this. Now, Addy working his way along the side, has the pulse bomb. It's going to force out the Transcendence early, and Kenzie already found a kill, so they're going to have to surge forward now to get Venanra out of his mech and continue this push.
Ooh, but in the meantime, we did see the Resurrect go through. Veilus able to sneak in for that one onto Watt 7, and as a result, we'll see the fight still go on, but Unfixed still untouched up in the sky means that he will claim another kill. Kenzie is not going to be the silent one in this match either, as he will get a kill himself. And once again, CIS Hope still looking as strong as ever. And look at that, only Transcendence forced out, and then Kenzie does commit the Dragon Strike, but they still have 4 more ultimates.
Addy on this Tracer coming back in for redemption after getting taken out by main, and Kenzie already eliminating Massey. Is going to force out that Resurrect. So there's just a little bit of time taken away. Unfixed still, I mean, they just haven't found an answer just yet. We already see that barrage coming out from Massey, as they did manage to kill Sharik, just kind of punishing a slight overextension, maybe some overconfidence being displayed there.
But now, finally, the turnaround will be going through. We will see this Birb Boys lineup get the kills they needed. The question is, will they commit too much for it? As still 84% is on the board here for CIS Hope, who are still in it. They're still finding this one out. Kenzie does go down and follows suit as well, but only the sound barrier and self-destruct now left for Birb Boys.
I mean, they're going to just continue to push this until it hits that 99% mark. They finally go down. It gets flipped, but I mean, a lot of headway covered now by CIS Hope, and as they push in, they're thinking about yesterday. They don't want to make that same mistake. We have it at 99%. Don't swap comps. Just stick with it. It works. Just stay with it, win another fight, flip it, and get this point in your favor.
because that's pretty much all they need. Having 99% being built up, but Soundbear now committed by the other side. We'll see Adi get a kill onto Kenzie, but they even went for that Valkyrie onto Vainless. So now, with a potential turnaround, we will see Onifix claim that kill onto the Mercy and the D-Suit at that. This is looking dire for the Birb boys as CIS Hope continue to surge forward, looking for more. Even Shurk going in really aggressive with that primal range. Unfixed with another one. Adi looking to go back in, but this is once again a bloodbath.
Unfixed. I mean, unstoppable is what he should really change his name to, because on this Therapic, he has been relentless. And now as they look to close this one out, they have a couple more kills to get. Main is going to be taken down, but still overtime will tick. CIS Hope should close this out here, and Massey unable to get there. CIS Hope with a 1-point advantage. They're already up 2-0. If they take this next map, Bird Boys will be sent home.
And it's very unfortunate for this Bird Boys lineup, because overall, in the grand scheme of things, they did look pretty strong. It's just going up against Singularity, getting so close to a series win, then getting knocked out and having to face off against CIS Hope is not what you would be looking for, but this is where they can finally turn it around, like you previously said.
I mean, yeah, coming onto a map like this is where you expect them to bring out that 3-0-3. This is where they have that shot to really be aggressive, really kind of assert their dominance and their know-how with this composition. And you can already see CIS Hope doing a how do I count? 2-1-3 here to bring out right away. And instead, interestingly enough, Bird Boys going for a 2-2-2 themselves, and I don't know. I was expecting them to bring out the 3-0-3.
Very interesting turn of events, but Watt7 in the meantime fell into the pit, got punished for it as well, and now as the point will be unlocked, it's already going to be going over in favor of CIS Hope, and they're gonna look to keep that advantage rolling, and this will prompt some swaps.
Here's the swap. Yep, right over to that 3-0-3. Looking to brawl it out, but they don't have control right now, so they want to get really aggressive. They want to make sure they can try to take this fight quickly, because if this fight takes too long, they're still giving away a lot of scoreline.
And so far, the charge will be good. Coming out of Watt7, secures the kill onto Sharik, so maybe with this aggression coming out of Bird Boys, they will finally make it happen. Adi gets another kill himself. Kenzie returns fire, but it's not going to be quite enough. They will look to stall it out with End finally dying out, but 39% is what they get. On the other side, though, a lot of ultimates still now being built up in favor of Bird Boys, even though they went with the swaps.
That was a good retake, actually, from Bird Boys, making those quick swaps, coming back in, and a great charge from Watt7 to start that fight off. Now Dragon Strike becomes an issue, though, as Kenzie's just going to let that one loose. Oh, he puts it in right to the Reinhardt. He finds two, make it three. Kenzie coming up in such a big way. Now needs to just finish the job, and it's CIS Hope coming back off the back of a Dragon Strike.
Zhao getting a triple kill himself, but it was definitely off of Kenzie's beautiful timing with that Dragon Strike. Was dropped really, really low, but gets into a beautiful position with the use of that lunge. Make sure that they get as many of those targets in, and now that they're going to be building up a lot more percentage. Things are not going to be looking too hot for Bird Boys, but with the Gravitons, it's going to be looking dangerous still.
Gravitons certainly going to be coming out here. Not a lot of charge, and there it comes down. It's going to be Zhao's coming out first. Earthshatter ready for Sharik, and he's going to need to pop that out before he dies, and he does. He gets it laid down. Graviton still comes out. So much healing, so much support for CIS Hope as they look to sustain this. And Venyanra coming up big with 2 kills off the back of a self-destruct.
The shield wasn't there anymore for Sharik, and as a result, they open things up once more. And one of the things that I didn't initially think about was having that Diva on your lineup here for Bird Boys is definitely going to pose a potential bigger threat when it comes down to it with those Graviton battles, as we've seen. And overall, still nicely done by Bird Boys to call that shield out to make sure he gets it out of the way, secures the teamfight win.
Oh, here comes the Dragon Strike back again. Gets a little bit of damage, but not securing kills this time. Support ults ready for Bird Boys, ready to sustain here. And they could do just that. Already Shark with a nice charge. That's going to take the Reinhardt out of play. Zhao has the Graviton Surge. They could use it here to secure it if they have to. But realistically, they don't want to. They want to have it for this next fight. Things even out a little bit now as it has reached 73% for Birb Boys. And finally, CIS Hope should flip this with this last kill onto Mitcher. However, we do see What7 coming back into the fray. And Baneless going to keep him alive as well. They just want to get as much score as they can possibly get before losing their last members. And they will keep it at about 90% before Addy finally does go down.
This is going to be an interesting back and forth because Graviton's available on both sides, Earth Shatters available on both sides. Might even see AIM charge up his sound barrier soon enough, but the big game changer here that I would see is one up Rally, and two, the Transcendence Bullet gets Rick. Sneaky right.
Oh! There's the Graviton to follow. Sound Barrier to come up. Dragon Strike comes out. He's going to claim some kills. Kenzie with two big ones at that, taking What7 and Mitcher out. Now another support is taken. Now Unfixed, the only person who can keep the rest of this team alive as the Sound Barrier comes through for CIS Hope. Overtime ticking, and CIS Hope have done it.
They will manage to make their way through the losers bracket at the very least for now. That will be it for Birb Boys, but they definitely went out with a fight.
CIS Hope surging back into it. What7, I mean, hats off to this man. Had so many great plays for Birb Boys, standing up to so many incredible main tanks throughout this tournament. Unfortunately, just not enough. These men have played their hearts out. Unfortunately, they now have to go home.
And once again, the good thing is, though, CIS Hope, it's definitely a joy to see them play to this performance, to expectations pretty much. But as you can see, the brackets now changing up a little bit. We will be back with the EU side on the 6th of June. Tomorrow, however, we will return with the North American playoffs. Of course, once again, thank you so much for the sponsors for making this happen. My name is Ben Brunch, joined by the Heroics, and until then, see you next time.